The Seiko Ani is one of my favourite watches I own. However, this new Anadigi watch could be your next purchase. Let's get into it! Yes, and welcome to the Mad Watch Collector Show. Today I'm going to show off a watch from a great Canadian brand, Momentum. Now, for anyone that doesn't know, one of the owners of Momentum used to be the owner of 80s watch brand Chronosport. Anyway, last year they brought out a fabulous, affordable dive watch called the Sea Quartz 30, which was a reinterpretation of a watch that came out in the 80s, and most notably, it was worn by Magnum PI in the second season of Magnum PI. That watch was definitely one of my favorites of 2023. But in 2024, Momentum have reimagined another icon from Chronosport, and it is an Anadigi watch that came out in the 80s that was worn by Sly Stallone in Rambo 2.
Yeah.
Now, Momentum do a great job of making their watches affordable. I think the Sea Quartz 30 is around £250, £260. This new Anadigi watch is going to cost us in the UK £333. So definitely attainable. They are sold out at the moment, but I have it on good authority that a pre-order window will be out very soon, towards the end of October, the start of November. Disclaimer! Yes, thanks for that. I was sent this watch in for review and I don't have to send it back. Anyway, let's show you the watch, tell you whether I recommend you should pre-order it, give you my wife's thoughts, and let's have a bit of Anadigi fun, shall we? Are you Anadigi ready? Let's go! So here we are, ladies and gentlemen, the Momentum UDT. I think the UDT stands for Underwater Demolition Team. But isn't it cool? It absolutely reeks of the 1980s for me. This is a PVD coated watch, and the case is very similar to the Sea Quartz 30 release that came out last year. It's very reminiscent to a CWC diver. That's because back in the 80s, Chronosport were having their cases made at the same place as CWC were.
In Switzer to the land.
It really does look like a prop for an action movie set in the 80s, doesn't it? Now, I know Momentum have changed this watch slightly from the original because there were certain features that they weren't happy with the original that they wanted to address in this reincarnation. But first impressions, it's awesome. Quick spec check! Right, so yes, stainless steel case and case back with stainless steel screw down crown and pushers. It's a 42mm diameter case, 47 lug to lug with a 20mm lug width, but the big measurement for me is the lovely thinness of 11.5mm. Now, the nice thin case does have a trade-off. We'll talk about it in a minute, but I think it's for the best, and it's just going to make the watch sit so snug and comfy to your wrist. The dial is protected by a sapphire glass, and with screw down pushers and a screw down case back, this watch is water resistant to 200 meters. Now, already you can see a little bit different to the original. The function buttons and the crown are screw in. Also, when these buttons and crowns are screwed in, you get a little red ring which tells you they are screwed in. Now, for me, when I see red on a watch, it says, well, it's red for danger, isn't it? It makes sense to me that if I was to ever see red on a crown or a pusher, that would mean that they are unscrewed, not screwed. I think the crown could do with being a little bit bigger. We haven't operated it yet, but just on the looks, just seems a bit too small. This is a diver, and of course we have a dive time bezel, which means it's only unidirectional. I love the matte ceramic insert. That's a really nice touch, because I hate glossy ceramic. We do have a Lume pip at 12 o'clock. However, doesn't seem as though there's a lot of Lume applied into that pip. A slight QC problem there maybe. For me, the bezel is probably the letdown of the watch.
You know I love a twiddle of a bezel, don't you?
So does he. Super. To me, this watch has the running of the comb syndrome. If you were to hold a comb upside down and run your finger along it, this is the sound it would make. It's a different sound all the time. Sometimes it's a hollowy click and sometimes it's a less hollowy click. It's very light, and we do have quite a bit of back play. That's a bit disappointing. However, I like the look. The grip is great. Let's move on. Now, when you purchase this watch, you can have it in many different strap options. I chose the Hyper Rubber. Yeah, I wanted this to have the biggest 80s look. I think when Rambo wore his, it was a black NATO style. This one is made from Italian rubber. It has a lovely vanilla scent to it, yeah. If anyone has used Cape Cod before, this polishing stuff, it smells pretty much like this. Overall, the strap is really well made. The tang part is really small. I would have liked that to have been a little bit chunkier so I could find the holes easier. That's a bit rude. It's nice about the strap. Overall, I like it.
Could you just click that like button, please? It really helps the channel. Thank you.
Okay, let's look at the face.
Dial time.
Now, the whole of the dial, apart from the cutaway to the LCD screen, is a solar panel, which means it's gonna take in loads of light easily, and you're never gonna need a battery. Well, not for a long time anyway. In dark lights, the dial looks quite black, but with light, it has like a purpley tint to it, and you can see segments in the dial. Everything is printed. One thing I do like to see is the lume plots on the watch being the same color as the lume on the handset. We don't get that. It usually means that either the lume plots are going to be brighter than the hands, or the hands are going to be brighter than the lume plots. We shall see. Now, one thing the team at Momentum wanted to change and improve with this watch was increase the size of the LCD display. It's significantly bigger, and I think it's a great move. The numbers are very clear, and I don't think it harms the legibility of the dial. In actual fact, it makes it look more 80s, which I like. So we've got lume on the pip of the bezel, we've got lume on the hour markers, and we've got lume on the hands. Out of 10, let's see how this puppy glows. Yeah, so not a fantastic a lot of lume on this watch, and considering the C-Quartz 30s lume was pretty darn good. Yes, the lume plots were a little bit bigger and chunkier, but there seems to have been a lot less layers of lume put on these plots, so therefore you don't get a huge glow. So powering this watch is a quite a little sophisticated custom module. Finding high quality ana-digi movements out there is quite hard to do. Anyway, this thing is built around an Epson AB12A. For anyone that doesn't know, Epson, well, they own Seiko, so it's effectively a Seiko engine-ish. But this module allows another feature that the guys at Momentum wanted to have, which was the digital display be slaved to the handset. Now, the very first UDT was powered by a Swiss ETA. Over time, the LCD display went kaputski and just wasn't reliable enough. So where did Chronosport turn to? Seiko! Obviously. Yes, the Mark II UDT had a Seiko module inside, but I think it did have a backlight on the LCD display, something you don't get with this new release. Now, in order for the guys at Momentum to have had a backlight put in this watch, it would have increased the thickness in the case. They may have had to have had an extra battery put in the module and or added another button to the watch. Now, with the watch in hand, I think it was a great move because it keeps that slender look. However, if the lume isn't fantastic, it makes people question why you didn't have a light in the LCD display. I love it, I'm just putting it out there. Anyway, operating this thing is quite straightforward and nice. First of all, unscrew all of the buttons until you can't see the red ring. To go through the modes, it's the crown you push in. You don't pull it out, something I had to go at to start with. Push it in, and we have a second time zone. So essentially, we've got a GMT here. The next mode is an alarm. Then we have our beautiful stopwatch. Top pusher starts, top pusher stops. And if you keep your finger on the bottom pusher, you can reset. And that's it. To be fair, a lot more features than you got with the original one.
Hello.
On On my 6.5-inch wrist, and this watch fits lovely. Bear in mind, for everyone with small wrists, I've been using the last to second to last hole on this hyper rubber strap. If you've got anything less than a 6.5-inch wrist, don't go for this rubber strap. Or you might have to be making new holes in it. It feels lovely and comfortable. Sits nice and snug on the top of the wrist and just looks like a cool 80s watch.
Without wearing something from the 80s that's probably going to break if you bang it against a door.
Legibility in the day is phenomenal. I believe there is anti-reflective coating on the inside. It's just a great watch to wear. This size is going to fit pretty much everyone. You get so many strap options at Momentum. It's very cool. So there we go, the Momentum UDT. What do you guys think? You can't get too many iconic watches for under £400, can you? But when you take away Casio, what icons are left? Vostok? Momentum did an amazing thing bringing back this icon to life. I know it's taken a long time for them to make it and to get it right, and I absolutely applaud them for that. I love the dial, I love the strap, and the overall look of the watch just looks mean and ready for business. Okay, negatives, right. The bezel action lets it down. The other negative for me is the power of the Lume. If you're not going to have a light on the LCD display, you gotta make sure that your handset and dial glows in your face. For me, for £333, I think this is a win. Now, a lot of people are going to compare this watch to the Arnie, yeah, the SNJ 025. Very similar, aren't they? Now, for me, this Seiko will get the win for me. The tuner case is very iconic to Seiko, and Seiko are one of my favourite brands. However, it is a chunky monkey. The UDT isn't, and I think all sleeves would easily fit over it. But we have to say a huge big thank you to Momentum. They brought back Annie Digi. What independent companies out there are doing that? Here it is, my wife's views of the Momentum UDT. Looks like it's about to set off a bomb. A lot of buttons. I don't like the bezel. It looks a bit cheap on the outside rim. I don't like the logo. Looks like a car's logo. I'm not a huge fan of it, but it's not the worst watch you've shown me. Well, I was going to say not too bad, Momentum, but listen, she's not the type of person that's going to buy this watch, is she? Thank you so much for watching till the end. If you want a bit more than Mad Watch Collector, click there and join. But if I've got you for a few more minutes, which I know I have, come on, click this one. You'll love it. Superb. Go on, click it. Click it. Wrong film, but sorry, Sly. I'm your worst nightmare. That's terrible, isn't it? Just click it. You don't want any more impersonations of Rambo. Go, click it!